Hello, hello everybody. It is always wonderful to see your faces, and we have to tell you we're kind of excited about this topic. Over 250 people have registered, which means the recording goes out to over 250 people, which tells us straight away that it's a hot potato. And I'm very excited to have you online to help as many of you as I can, uh, uh, and to make this as practically useful. And I confess, for it to be a little naughty and a little fun. So the first thing I'm just going to test with you all is in the chat, everyone has to write in uh, 2 words to describe how you are feeling right now. Just 2 words in the chat to describe how you're feeling right now. And hearing. Crazy, festive, healthy, enthusiastic, hungry, tired, happy, curious, calm, emotional, calm, excited, content, happy, intrigued and excited, anxious, happy, very hungry. Julie, go and get something to eat for goodness sake. You know you can eat on these sessions. Optimistic. Stop saying you're all hungry. That's really unfair. You should go and get something to eat. Hopeful and emotional. Okay, so excited, tired, emotional, connected, enthusiastic. And some people, all of those. That's a very fitting state to be in for a session that's going to talk about potential conflict at this time of the year. So when we chose the topic, it was very deliberately to anchor your knowledge and insights at a time when something's actually about to happen. So things to consider right at the front of this very precious session is we're going to use Christmas as a fantastic case study in triggering stress. Josh, Jenny, tired and full of brain. We're going to use this session to attach to some of the things to watch out for when you're tired and enthusiastic, excited, but actually wanting a bit of a break, hopeful, but confused. And I plan to take you through a series of check-ins with you, really getting you to think about what am I actually thinking about right now and what am I looking forward to? So I want you just to take a moment to scribble down on a piece of paper in front of you, or you can write it in the chat if you wish. What am I thinking about right now? And what am I actually looking forward to? So 60 seconds, you get to write something. What am I thinking and what am I looking forward to? What am I thinking right now? What am I looking forward to? Just a quickie. A work break. Looking forward to Christmas, absolutely. Break over Christmas and a fishing trip, no less, Mick. That's nice. Mick, add in where your fishing trip will be.
What was that one? Sorry.
Add in where your fishing trip will be.
Okay.
You can pop it in the chat if you want to. You just have it in that piece of paper. Food, lots of good food. Break over Christmas. Arunga. What is, oh, that's where you're going fishing, Mick. Good on you. And I have no idea where that is. Fantastic, Arunga. I want you to write at the bottom of what you just wrote, Uh, progress, less conflict, communicating like adults. Good on you with that one. I love that. Break at Christmas with family and friends, reflection over the and what changes I can make in 2025. Super important. Looking forward to the Christmas break. I'm going to guess that most of you had looking forward to the Christmas break. The last little question I want you to think about before we have this conversation and session is what might be worrying you right now? So I put in there, I'm excited about the work that's pending, and I'm a moronically childish around Christmas. So as of the 1st of December, I have the emotional maturity of a 12-year-old. I'm excited about that. And what worries me is the velocity and volume of work that's been crammed into the last 3 weeks of the year and getting it all done to a standard that I'll be satisfied with. So what are you worried about? Just quickly pop that in as well. Family situation, Claire. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're getting the support that you deserve. My job, difficult conversations, of which there can be many. How we work out how we're going to deliver a huge proposal in January. Yes. Worrying about my son's situation, work volume, project delivery. Uh, you don't have any worries, Kylie. That's lovely to hear. And important in this context, getting all my work done on time. Okay, so why is Christmas uh, such a useful uh, trigger? So the reality is, I'm sure you all know that we don't have the same approach to Christmas. Uh, we have different expectations, and we're going to take you through a little Mentimeter around Christmas from the annoying people like me who become Christmas pixies. I happen to be married to the Grinch. He hates Christmas with a deep and passionate loathing, and I start festooning so that the house can be seen from the 1st of January. And he goes downstairs into his studio and sucks his thumb and rubs his nose. We couldn't be more diametrically opposite if we tried. So, one of the things we're going to explore today, and I want to give you a new layer about what causes conflict. And I'm going to ask you all, because you love people, you care for people, whether it's during painful times or not, this is about other people, not you. And being clear about what causes conflict, not just for yourself, but for other people, because at this time of year, one of the best ways to manage your health and happiness is to ensure the context you're in is healthy and happy. And that means even in tough times. So much of the way we live our lives makes the focus about ourselves. But this time, we want to make it about other people. And I particularly want to make it about our families and friends, our pets, and our gardens. I thought about this last weekend when I went out for a long walk with my husband, and there was a young man in front of me taking his very happy, eager dog for a walk. And he was on the phone the whole time talking to someone. And the dog started, we all got out of our cars at a similar time. He was about 50 paces in front of us. And his dog was happy and enthusiastic and looking up at the master who was on his phone and not looking at the dog. And the dog wanted to pee and the master didn't stop and he got pulled forward. And after a while, all the joy went out of the dog. It just kind of evaporated. And the dog just trotted along with the owner. And the joy that had been so evident at the start had evaporated. And it occurs to me that while we think about our needs, our busyness, our level of fatigue, what we want, we can be at risk of forgetting how we affect other people. However, I then found this fabulous quote by the famous comedian George Burns, which I will share with you, and please feel free to copy. I'll get Sarah to share it with you, to copy this joyful little message. Uh, Happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. So we'll start off supporting those who would rather Christmas wasn't that all-out exhausting experience, and just acknowledge that sometimes to manage your health and happiness, or the health and happiness of the people immediately around you, you need a bit of a family-ectomy. They need to go and do their shit somewhere else and give you a bit of space. Um, is it Tim McCarthy?
Tony
Tony.
McCarthy. Yep.
Geez, it's nice having your grinning face as one of the first faces I can see.
Okay.
Just notice the impact of somebody laughing on your mood and your sense of connection. And if in doubt, just find Tony on your screen and have a good look at him. He almost, with a beard, looks like Father Christmas. Don't want to diminish you in any way, but you almost
Yeah.
look like Father Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I am turning pretty white. Not there yet. I need to work on my whiskers.
Yeah, a
All
bit of
right.
a full beard.
Yeah.
Okay, so things that we've talked about in many other occasions is to remind you, next slide, please, Sarah, is there are three specific things that happen that cause conflict. Now, you can know this, but you keep ignoring it, which is why conflict keeps happening. Firstly, surprise, surprise, people just don't agree. And so we try to have a legal debate with them and prove our facts over their facts. And that never goes well for anybody. My facts over your facts might be good over dinner, where you want to have a really lively dinner party. But frankly, at some point, someone will dominate with their facts or dominate with the way they're delivering, and someone will capitulate. That's actually not helpful. That will neither deliver health nor happiness to you, your family, your pets. So when people disagree, something has to change. So that's one ingredient for conflict. The second one is where emotions are running high. I can't believe what you're saying. Are you kidding me? You really voted for that person? In America, where I spend a lot of time, people can no longer discuss politics. It split families apart. You know, the country is deeply divided, and everyone who voted for Kamala or the Democrats is trying their hardest to go, how did we miss this? How did this landslide happen right in front of us and we didn't know? The people who finally got their day in the sunshine are going, about time. And Trump is going to challenge and change things on scale. But around that challenge, I was talking to several people this morning in coaching sessions in the US, and the managing of grief and anger and incomprehension is massive. Don't understand how this came about. So when emotions run high and we disagree, you've got the two of the three primary ingredients for conflict. And then the third one is the consequences of this disagreement are significant. Christmas is kind of a much better thing to have a look at than whether you would vote for Kamala or Trump, because the consequences of that election are so significant for so many people. It almost defies or beggars belief about how you manage that order of conflict, other than we walk away from it. So I think you all know those three tricks. Hands up if you actually know those tricks. Those are the three ingredients of conflict. Hands up if you know them. Oh, that's very few of you. Come on, hands up who's done Compass. If you've done Compass, we've done this with you. So those are the three ingredients of conflict. It's all right. We'll bring you in for a refresher. So write them down, because if it's happening to you, stop. Just stop. You must stop and breathe. Now, do you just think for a moment about what might cause this at Christmas time? And that's what we're going to do the Mentimeter on. It could be, let me think. Presents. Are we buying presents? Or are we not buying presents? Are we buying to a budget, or is there no budget? Does that cause anxiety and fear? What about where we have Christmas. Think about whether you are still with your original partner or with a partner, or you have split from a partner, very civilized, so you're still friends, but that partner and you have met someone else. So we've doubled the Christmas load just in a separation and not even factor that in when we separated. Then, of course, we're older, we're very civilized. Now we have young adults for children. And they've met partners, and their partners have families. So where is Christmas going to happen? Are we invited? When does the transition happen from mum and dad's house to the kids' house? What happens if we have a Christmas dinner party and, oh my God, Auntie Elizabeth turns up and we know she gets drunk every Christmas and she'll dance on the kitchen table and do something entirely inappropriate to our young son's fiance's family? Hands up if you've got an inkling about what I'm talking about, the challenge of managing that sort of thing at Christmas time. Hands up. That's good. That's a fair dose of you. You're going to like this next bit. This is really going to help you. So this is the really helpful bit. Next slide. And this is in order of priority. This is true for companies. It's true for teams. It's true for those of you from council, between council executive and councillors. It's true between silos of a business. It's true between this function and that function. And it sure as hell is true in family. And the first thing is the simplest, the easiest thing to deal with is there's a conflict in the information we've got. Think about this. We're not buying presents for everyone. We're just buying presents for the kids. That's the fact. And somebody goes, I didn't agree to that. I love presents. I'm going to buy presents for everybody. And so they buy presents for everyone. They go to someone's house for Christmas and then go, uh-oh, no one else has bought presents. Think about things like Naughty Santa. Some people love Naughty Santa. Some of you probably don't even know what it is, but that's that game you play. You buy one present. It has to be suitable for a man or woman. It goes under the tree, but the presents can be traded. Some people love Naughty Santa and some people hate it. I'm one of the people that loves it. I have at least two people in our business, two of whom are on screen today, who think it's really hurtful. And I have to keep saying, it's just a game. We're just playing a game. So that can cause conflict. The type of food we make at Christmas, how much we eat, just think about that. The regrets we have, the relatives we desperately don't want to see, the ones we do. So the first thing is an information conflict. We aren't clear on what we agreed on. Number two, probably one of the deep drivers of conflict is there's a values conflict. And I believe it's one of the healthiest places to get to. And all you have to ask is, what is important to you at Christmas? What is important to you at Christmas? That is a values elicitation on Christmas. So everyone answer that quickly, just in 60 seconds or less. Put down what is important to you on Christmas, in Christmas. And I'm going to say ready, set, go, post, because I'd like you to post concurrently and not be biased by what anyone else says. What's important to me at Christmas? Relaxing family company, peace, connection, joy, laughter. Claire, you can come to my Christmas. Spending time with family and relaxing, getting time to rest, family time without the distractions of life, relaxing, rest, family and food, happy, peace, joy. And I just want you to note how many of you are saying a rest. That's going to be an interesting one to explore, because a lot of people don't actually think Christmas is restful at all. Belly laughs, family time, rituals. So answering what is important to you at Christmas elicits a values-based response. So I don't really need relaxation. It's not a value I have, but I need to have fun. And games is my kind of thing at Christmas time. I do a lot of catering. I love catering. So noisy games and a lot of laughter. But some people want quiet my beautiful husband, relaxation, and connection with one or two key people. There can be incredible interest conflict. I take something very seriously and somebody else doesn't. So you think to yourself, just on Christmas, I hate having to get up and do stuff. I can't believe I live with someone who does so much. I'm sitting in my favorite armchair in my nothing box. I'm not doing anything. And my loving partner comes up, oh, are you doing anything now? And you famously panic because you're being asked if you're doing something. And you say to them, I'm not doing anything. At which point they give you 6 things to do. And before you know it, you're having to do something and you have a major conflict of interest. And if, for God help you, you say, no, I don't actually want to do anything, then you have an argument because they want you to do something and you're not currently doing anything. I am doing something. The something I'm doing is absolutely nothing. You have a relationship conflict, and that can be with relatives. There are people in the family I struggle with. I love that we're all getting together, but that old aunt who gets on the table at 11 or 12 o'clock at night and starts doing inappropriate things, she drinks too much. He drinks too much. And I really feel that we will be much happier and less anxious if that person doesn't come. Then lo and behold, that person decides to offer Christmas to everybody. So there's going to be no Christmas unless you go to their place. And finally, there's structural conflict. That's conflict in the way we influence, make decisions, conflict in delegations, conflict in resource allocation. So those are the 5 major subsets of why a conversation goes pear-shaped. Number 1, we disagree. Number 2, emotions are high. Number 3, the consequences of a decision are significant. And the 5 main causes of that conflict are there's conflict of information. This happens all the time in organizations. There's an underpinning fundamental values conflict. We say we value innovation, but under the gun, when output is not meeting budget, suddenly from the exec or the board comes a push on cash flow, on income, on revenue. And people 2 or 3 levels down from the decision-making start to say we value innovation, but we behave as if we value income. And it's when there's a conflict, it's always revenue that wins over innovation. They'll start cutting costs on education, on initiatives, on time, on resources. So information conflict, values conflict, interest conflict. It's very hard to get passionate and animated about something I don't care about. Yes, but it's important to me, says your loved one or a member of your family. Or suddenly a staff member's getting behind something they're really passionate about, and your brain is bumping into the bones of your cranium going, it's not important now. You're putting so much energy into something that doesn't count. And when you finally convince them that it doesn't count, they go from feeling this to feeling this. And they lose momentum and enthusiasm. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm not interested. There's relationship conflict. There's huge divide in organizations between finance and marketing or finance and sales. Sales go to the ends of the earth to build relationships, marketing to profile the company. Then finance doesn't pay accounts on time. And so the marketing and sales team go, oh my God, I just rang one of my favorite clients and all hell broke out because we haven't paid an account. And finance say, if we only pay every 60 or 90 days, we save X amount of money. And the sales team are going, do you have any idea what that's costing us? So we have big relationship conflicts. We have level conflict in organizations. We have siloed conflict. So relationship conflict is common and structural conflict is very common because we keep restructuring. Everyone restructures. And by the way, if you want to resolve real problems, resolve it from a values base long before you restructure. People at the moment are wildly frustrated by constantly restructuring, and they think it is evidence of incompetent leadership. And loath as I am to suggest that might be true, it's true. All right, we are going to take you to the Mentimeter, and Sarah, I am going to come back to slide 7, the five major causes. So can we go to the Mentimeter? Let's have a bit of fun and see what you all think.
Okay, Phoebe, I'm going to pop up a QR code for everyone.
Whip out your phones, everybody.
So grab your phones. Let me just get this all ready. Okay, first of all, let me show. Now, the QR code is not showing for some reason on my screen. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Sarah, are you able to pop it up?
Yep. Now, for some reason, there was a QR code there, but what I'm going to ask you to do is go to menti.com in your browser and pop in this code, this numbered code. You'll be asked to put in a code. And once everyone gets there, I just need to share my next screen so we can have a look at the live results and get you all in to the
Can I
first.
suggest you read that code out?
Yep. So it's 43611396.
Voting might be coming in, Chris.
Yep, and I'm just going to share the Mentimeter now so everyone can see the live results. All right. So the first one,
Thank goodness.
and I'll move through
Got
these
a
slides.
few hates in there. Okay, go to the next one.
But does loving and hating Christmas cause conflict?
That's good. That's good. How interesting is that? So you're starting to see values at play here. And if I recognize that it happens sometimes, what is it that we're triggering when we love Christmas? What can it cause? Next one, please, Chris.
Are you from a blended family, yes or no?
Uh,
And does this cause conflict?
so just notice that we're about half-half. That was not the case 20 or so years ago. And sometimes that causes conflict. So again, different value systems, different information, different expectations. And when it happens, instead of reacting to it, we start to say, okay, I have a tiny little dog who's doing a breakthrough a hatch and yelling at me from across the room. I don't know if you can hear it online, but he's literally yelling at me. You can't hear him.
No.
He's about this big and he does not want to be in the room he's in. Okay, next one, Chris.
Do you buy presents for everyone or only the kids get presents?
This is a good one. Oh, such a good one. So the Pixies, of course, buy something for everyone. And those who have a little more wisdom about the budget are selective.
And
Right,
then
next
this caused
one.
conflict.
Oh, that's good. The pixies are just allowed for. You just do that stuff. But sometimes it does cause conflict. It will particularly cause conflict when there's a budget issue, where for some people, they don't have the money to buy everybody a present. And we can be a little bit insensitive. And we might turn around and say, yeah, but we could make it a $20 limit, a $30 limit, a $10 limit. We could make presents. Next one.
Well, here comes the budget one. So, do you have a fixed budget for gifts or can you choose how much to spend?
Great. All those people who tell us to budget. It's good. Yes, we need to role model giving and receiving presents. That's a lovely frame. Lovely frame. It's not just for the kids. That's a very one. Does that cause conflict? Now, the interesting thing about the sometimes coming up regularly is that it can sometimes be with the same people. It's every Christmas we go through this issue. All right, now we have to watch our own behavior. Next one, please, Chris.
And does one person do all the cooking or does everyone contribute to preparing and bringing food? So, one cook in the kitchen or everyone brings a plate.
That's interesting. So that's probably changed a lot. Is that our last slide, Chris?
Yeah, and then just does this cause conflict? Does the food piece cause conflict?
See how never bops up. That's interesting. Okay. So there you go. We'll be sharing these with you when we send out the EDM from this session in order that you can have a bit of a think about the consequences of that. Does that surprise anyone, those results? You've got a great audience to pull from. There are 96 of us here. Anyone surprised? Anyone want to say anything about that data? I love Pen's comment in the chat, by the way, if everyone hasn't seen it. Conflict is because we need to role model giving and accepting presents to the kids instead of making it all about them. I 100% agree with that. Generosity is its own reward. Gladys does not. My family, there's conflicts with these things. No, Lauren. Surprised by the number of blended families, yes. I feel more normalized. Great. Any other comments at this stage? Surprised so many of us think that only one person cooking won't or does not result in conflict. That's an interesting comment. What's your thought on that, Joe? Joe Polidano, you wrote it. Great comment.
Yeah, just thinking that you know, perhaps people that are involved with the cooking might have, reservations about doing it, but maybe aren't sharing those reservations, and other people aren't necessarily aware of it.
Nice. What do you do for a living, Joe, before you go?
I'm a scientist. I work at a research institute.
I work with hundreds of scientists all over the planet, and that's a very sensitive observation. Are you the cook or are you the receiver?
I'm actually the receiver.
So who does the cooking? Mum, wife, sister?
Yeah, my mum. Yeah,
Your mum.
yeah.
Hands up whose mums do the cooking at Christmas time. Yvonne, so good to see you, Yvonne. Nancy. It's not an easy thing for the mums. You know, they've been cooked, says she, defending herself. It's not an easy thing for the mums. It's hard to let go of. Yvonne, what do you notice in your family? I love that we're still trying to find the unmute button after all these years. Go for it.
I know, sorry. I was just going to type in, it's just that the conflict is because she wants to, and we want to help, and she won't receive, she doesn't really want the help. And so it's an ongoing, that's the conflict. And so we all want to be able to contribute, but it's, it's the pride, that food and love, right?
Yes, it is. And then the lovely link to Pen's comment. Pen, do you want to add to that?
I think Penn's comment was actually quite valid. It should be about giving and receiving because it goes both ways.
It does, doesn't
that
it?
is how we should be role modeling, but it's almost, like we're dealing with, I mean, there's culture, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the woman's place?
Ooh.
My family had
I love the
originally,
comment that some families want the conflict. They can sometimes thrive on it. Any comments from you all about that? You've got a family member who, they're there, somehow conflict starts to emerge around them. Who said that? Jimmy Fallon's online. Fallon. Interesting. Some family members want a conflict. They can sometimes thrive on the drama.
That's Lisa.
Expand on that for us.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm struggling with the unmute too.
Yeah.
Yes, I find in my family, some of the family members on both sides, they thrive on conflict generally, and they just can't put it down for Christmas. It gives them a kick. It's about power, I think. It's about power relationships in families, and some members, for whatever reason, are needing to exert their own power on others.
Oh, we could have a whole other session on the narrative of power, and maybe we will early next year for you all. We have been doing a lot of research on finding a diagnostic that helps leaders really understand power. And sometimes it's because we're overly assertive. We're so sure that our way is the right way. And sometimes we've got a fixed mindset. We're not growing. We're not seeing that things are changing. And then in between is how everyone interprets our behavior through the lens of power. And an adult, the oldest member of the family, carries a lot of weight in a family. How many of you come from migrant families? You're the first generation Australian. So hands up if you come from a migrant family. Yeah. So there's a whole other layer of challenges. Sophie, you're nodding your head. What happens in your family? You're muted too.
Yes, what happens in my family, I immigrated in Australia 14 years ago, and I'm French Canadian. I married a British German person. So for
Well, you
Christmas,
have got a mix.
yeah, so for the last 14 years, we were at my brother-in-law's house eating the German English tradition. It had to be that way. There was no possible other way because you cannot have Christmas without the full roast and everything. And so this year we're going overseas, and my family, so I haven't seen my family at Christmas for 14 years. My children don't know their cousins very well. So I'm really keeping track of that fixed mindset, power, and reflect on what the next generation, my children and their cousin want, because they're between 12 and 20 years old. So I really appreciate this meeting. It really helps to, because it's a bit scary. So I'm dragging the German British with all these expectation of a certain set Christmas into my family. It'll be interesting.
Very interesting. What a great conversation. Have you got children? How old are they?
10 and 12.
What a great conversation to have with them. And they were born and raised in Australia?
Yes.
Fascinating, fascinating. This weird culture where we have the symbols of winter, we have the practices of winter, but it's not Christmas unless it's boiling hot. And now you're going to the origin story where it will be cold, and the traditional foods and the traditional approaches make sense. and there are different times for the gift giving, different kinds of food. So how to open up a child's mind at the age of 10 and 12 to the lens we're giving you is hugely valuable, because they can be curious rather than defensive, entertained rather than hurt. That's a
Yeah.
that's a lovely example, and I'm glad we're here for that. Just that one is a good one. Anyone else from a migrant family where the way things are done is very different from the way Australians do things? Anyone else? Either the food or the volume of food? Yes, Valorenzetti.
Italian. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think that there's more, it's weird. I think that there's greater comfort around direct conversations and negative emotions as well, and positive. So I think in a way we, at least we'll be more socialized. So it plays out a little bit weirdly at work, where you might just be direct and people just might take offense depending also on where they're from. Could be Australian with different descendants as well, different norms, right?
Yes.
But also we're very conflict avoidant in a very weird way as well. So in my family, so that also doesn't kind of help in terms of having direct conversations. So direct conversations either look like, at least where I came from, more of an explosion or just the brooding in the background rather than having a healthy, constructive discussion throughout. So there's some cultural stuff and some personality stuff.
And also there's a skill issue. How do I say your name?
My name?
Yeah.
Valentina.
Valentina. So
Advanced.
there is two components for all of you to consider in this: a will to do something and the skill to do something. So for you, Valentina, it can be, I would like to be able to have a clean conversation, but the skill to do that, I might not be able to do that. And so when I think I'm having a clean conversation, it comes across as too direct. And people are intimidated or angry that I'm overstepping a boundary. And obviously, hands up if you've done Compass. Yeah. Well, you, Valentina, you know that's a red response. Was there any red in your LSI one?
Oh God, red. It was very Italian. Let's put it this way: a lot of red and green.
So that's not really very Italian, but it's a conditioned response. We don't know, it's, you know, that mental predisposition is a child's defense system in a family. And sometimes what happens in European families, Italian, Greek, the emotional set point is down at the bottom of the barrel. You know, we can explode emotionally and then this afternoon we're drinking bottles of wine and loving each other. For people that are raised in a traditional English environment, for instance, or German even, the emotional set point is very high. It takes a huge amount for us to break through and be theatrical and big about emotions.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with a lot of in lifestyles inventory language, aggressive or passive defensive response in conflict, just remember there's a line, and above the line, you're resourceful, and below the line, red and green, the world is a scarcity. It's a place to be fought over. There's not enough. We have this conflict, and the problem is you, not me. So if you've never seen the below or above the line video, maybe Sarah or Christine will pop it in the chat.
Thank you.
And you can go and look at what happens when you go below the line. If you want to stay above the line, then the world is an abundant place. Solutions are just about me being flexible, not judging, being joyful, thinking in terms of what is possible, not what isn't being done. So the last slide I just want to walk you through is in many ways a summary of what I've shared with you. So the main causes of conflict. And I want to translate those causes into what happens in your head as a contributor to that. So the first thing is we think we know or understand or have all the insight, and we don't. am I willing to hear that I actually don't have all the available information? I'm reacting as if I did. I had a meeting with Michelle and Christine and Sarah just before this meeting, and I got really excited about an opportunity that was in the list of opportunities. And I said, can we just see if we all agree on that? They were looking at item 4 and I was looking at item 6. And they all went, yeah, that's a great idea. And I said, excellent. Well, let's move on that and know that we all agree with it. And then they said, but hold on a minute, it's a big jump on where we are. And suddenly they were talking about something and my brain is going, why have they gone back to item 4? And I didn't have all the information and neither did they. I was talking about item 6. They were talking about item 4. So that's a silly and simple example of what happens when we think we know, but we don't. Step 1. We think we know what is important, but we're absolutely tunnel visioned. For those of you who've done LSI, my darlings, if you got a big dollop of red in your LSI, more likely to happen for you, convinced that the way you want to do something is the right way. If you've got a lot of green, you just don't want to be in the conflict. You're afraid of it. You have anxiety about conflict, so you don't do anything. And we are unaware that what we're thinking is causing us to be tunnel visioned. If I'm trying to placate everyone at Christmas time, make everyone happy, then I overwork it. And everyone gets lazier and lazier in my presence. I cook the meal, I also clean up. I want them to be enjoying themselves. And those wonderful comments, Penn said, you got to know how to give and receive. Doesn't happen, you just give. Interest. We think other people will be interested in what we are interested in, and they aren't. It doesn't mean they don't love you. They do love you. They just don't want to talk about this topic. Move on. They don't want to deal with this issue the way you want to. Move on. They absolutely don't want to go for a walk. They want to lie on the floor and go to sleep. Let them do it. Relationships are often triggered by information, values, and differing interests. If a relationship has got no common values, then our advice to you is it's super hard to align people. Just let everything go. Let it go. But if you have one value that you share, like fairness, everyone deserves a voice at the table, you can't make unilateral decisions, then you can resolve conflict easily. All of the above are triggered by factors like poor communication. Some of you may know that DG, Dutner Group, does honesty auditing. We do a lot of consulting around what will it take to create engaged and aligned cultures. That's the bulk of our work. The lunchtime leadership sessions we do because we love you and we want to keep the pot brewing for you. Compass is an abiding act of love because it takes 7 calls to each woman to get her to agree to come to Compass, because women never put themselves first. Everyone else, their needs come first. So we do that because we believe in elevating the visible leadership of women for all our sakes. But when we are auditing companies, when we go in to hear what staff say about what it's like to work here, number 1 is poor communication. And that is a measure of the extent to which there are differing expectations. Executives no longer get what it's like to work in the organization. Their horizon for decisions is long-term, and the impact of their decisions is enormous, and they are disconnected from the people they are making decisions for. We are unmet emotional needs. I don't feel safe. I don't trust you. I don't trust what we do at Christmas time. I don't trust your decision about what we were meant to be doing for lunch tomorrow. I ring up my sister or brother-in-law to find out from them what we're meant to be doing. And my partner's saying, I told you so. Personality clashes. Some of you just want to rest. Some of you want to have fun. The way you will regather your energy is by being playful and interacting with people. Other people need time out. When dad or brother or mum or friend is sitting by the pool, not talking to anyone, sipping a glass of champagne. They are in an advanced state of bliss. Don't go up to them and say something like, "Are you all right? Come back and join us." They don't want to. They want to be where they are. So personality differences can have a big impact on the way we act at this time of year. Unresolved past issues. And somebody said, about that ability to have difficult conversations. Unfortunately, an unresolved conflict is like a blockage in an artery. As your blood pumps through, lots of shit gathers around that blockage, and before you know it, you have a heart attack. So it's a good thing to clear the air before Christmas, if you can, and think about how would I meet their needs? How would I recognize what they want and need in order that we can come together? Stress spills over in many directions at this time of year. I would say to all of you, hold dear to your heart your level of fatigue. It's very contagious. If you're in a leadership position, it's super contagious. If you have children, your children would rather you came home, left the mess, and played with them in the mess and ordered in a pizza. At this time of year, don't get fussy about healthy food. Just chillax. Make sure you recognize that if you are highly stressed, it contaminates the environment. Jealousy and power can play out, and somehow it translates into significant imbalances in the way we interact. No matter what someone has or does, 60, 70 years from now, 80 years from now, all the people we know who are alive will be dead. So check your jealousy or worries about being good enough at the back door. You are enough. You are good enough. You're perfectly set up to be perfectly yourself. And for all our sakes, that's probably one of the best things you bring to this time of year. Finances can really distress people. I know organisations that are laying people off at this time of year, and I think it's one of the most wicked things that we do. This is not the time to make people redundant. And if you've known people who are made redundant, put out a supportive hand, not to change their lives, but to tell them you understand, because it's a very hard time of year. Christmas is not good for a lot of people. People, I'm sure, online who've lost someone or a member of the family is going through very challenging times. Then Christmas is a trigger to a whole heap of difficulty. If any of that sort of thing is happening, then be loving. Sometimes, as we say, divorce is necessary to separate, but you don't have to separate in hate. You can separate in love. Just because I don't want to sleep with a person doesn't mean the relationship has to devolve into an uncomfortable, intractable position for everyone. So we can stop sharing. I will do a QR code for you all. I'm glad the majority of you have stayed. Has this been helpful? In the chat, has this been helpful? Great. Great. Hey, Jen Martin. Great. Good. All right. Well, let us be the first to say to a large group, Happy Christmas. Stay well. All this will come to you in an EDM, which the wonderful Sarah will turn around in a heartbeat. Keep a smile on your face. I hope you still get stockings for Christmas. You are much loved by people.
And Fabian, can I just say, if there's anybody that wants to stick around, if you have any questions about any of the things we've talked about or the programs that we've got coming up from Datna Group, I'll stick around in this meeting if you want to hear more about those.
Lots happening for the new year. Merry Christmas, everybody. Or whatever you celebrate.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.